everyone, welcome to our first Linfield Coaches CatChat of the year for the men's soccer program. Joe Stewart here with head men's soccer coach Andy Duvall. Coach, how you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Joe. How about you?
Doing great, and it is match week. Friday will be the first home event for any of our Wildcat programs, as you guys will be hosting Augsburg at 7 o'clock. It's exciting time. The matchup against a non-conference opponent you never played before, and we're all excited to see the team. So just how has everything been going with preseason training? What have been some of the things you've observed from a couple exhibitions and scrimmages and things like that?
Yeah, it's been really fast. I think we realized the other day that even though it feels like we've been here for a while, we really only started training on the 19th. So, I mean, today is what, the 30th? Today's 30th, I think. So we're 11 days in with giving the guys a couple of days off for orientation stuff. But what we've noticed so far is that the work ethic amongst the group is exactly where we'd like it to be. For the most part, we've got guys that have really positive attitudes that are giving everything that they can every day. We've had, like you mentioned, some scrimmages and some exhibitions that have helped us kind of fill out what we believe is going to be a roster for Friday night against Augsburg that will put our top 18 guys forward that are able to go. Every team right now in the country, I'm sure, has one or two guys that unfortunately had some sort of an injury happen within the first 5 to 7 days that they've been training. So we're definitely no stranger to that. Every team in the country is probably experiencing that, but we're excited about the group that we have, and not knowing a lot about Augsburg other than they have 5 or 6 guys from the city of Portland that a few of them we've also recruited over the years. We know about those guys, but we don't know a whole lot else because there isn't any film other than what was available from last year on Augsburg. So it's going to be a game of unknowns, and we're looking forward to getting out on the pitch and seeing what happens.
It should be entertaining, and let's look back at last year a little bit. You guys go 5-13-1, 4-9-1 in conference for a 6th place finish. Obviously, you like to see some more positive results, but it did feel like there was a lot of progress last year, obviously rising up from the bottom of the table into kind of the middle of the pack. And just overall, how would you say your expectations have changed from last year going into this year?
I think there were 4 points that separated 4th place from 6th place last year. Like you said, it was kind of a middle of the table feel for everybody, and I think so I believe it was us, Whitworth, and UPS that finished 4th through 6th, and really it felt like any one of us could have finished in any one of those places at the end of the year. And so we, being the ones that ended up finishing 6th, we were disappointed in that we felt like there were probably 9 points out there for us in the games that we didn't finish off. So had we gotten those 9 points, we would have been able to finish in the top half of the table and get 4th out of the table last year, which is probably would have been a bit of a reach for us based on us being so young last year and starting so many guys that were in their freshman and sophomore year. The expectations, how they've changed now, is that, what does a year of experience do for you as a player? The expectation is that, well, you expect that the game is harder, you expect that the game is faster, you expect that there's more intensity, you expect there's a higher level of intelligence out there. And so we've put the guys against some very good NAI opponents in these exhibitions and scrimmages. A lot of really good scholarship athletes on the NAI programs that we've played against, and the pace was fast, the intensity was there, and the hardness of the game was there. And so a lot of our guys that are in their 2nd, 3rd, and 4th year responded well to that and have now set the expectation that they're going to be able to manage games like that against Division III opponents. And so we're excited that this year, being the first year in an extremely long time, we're able to play 4 countable non-conference games against Division III opponents. And that, again, that hasn't happened for Linfield men's soccer in a really long time. So we're excited that we get to play 4 Division III opponents that we're not going to play once we hit to conference.
Yeah, getting those true Division III opponents, right. big measuring stick for a team in preseason.
Yep.
Okay, let's talk about the attack a little bit. Obviously probably not finished as many opportunities as you would have liked last year, but it seemed like there was a real uptick in the consistency of just quality shot creation. Obviously, Sid Caceres brings home an honorable mention all conference, finishing 2nd in the conference in shots on goals. How can he raise his game, and who else you're going to be looking for contributions on the finishing side?
Yeah, I mean, we've got an older group and a more experienced group that plays up top for us. So you've got Cameron Gaines, Sid Casares, Seamus Miller, Sam Haynes is coming into his sophomore year. He saw a lot of time up there last year. Alberto Gallegos, who last spring really established himself as somebody that could compete for one of those top spots up in either the 10 role or occasionally maybe the 9 role. And then you've got other guys that can fill in those winger positions, those 7 and 11 positions that are a mix of younger guys and more experienced guys. And so we do believe that Sid will continue to get better and give us, I think he finished with 7 goals last year, if I remember right. He should be capable of getting above the 10 goal mark and hitting double digits. Seamus Miller has continued to progress and become somebody that we know can produce good things in those winger positions in terms of goal scoring. And then other guys like Sammy Haynes and the others that I mentioned, they, with having now a year or two under their belt, they recognize time and space a little bit better than they did before, understand passing patterns that will help them get free and into good goal scoring positions better than they did before. And again, the pace of the game they've gotten more accustomed to. So yes, we definitely believe that we will have the opportunity to create a lot more chances, and then it comes down to the composure of the player in that moment. And so we did a lot of talking about that last year, about being bigger than the moment, and there were a lot of moments last year that were bigger than us. And so now we have to turn the tide a little bit and become bigger than the moment and be able to capitalize on what we create.
On defense last year, even though it was a young team, that's where most of your experience was towards that back line. But you do return Angel Hernandez, got a second team nod last year, and of course Evan Stafford, he was 4th on the team in minutes last year. So there are guys that have been in those big spots defensively. How do you continue to kind of have that be somewhere where this team can hang their hat on, stopping the opponent? Yeah,
I mean, it comes down to being extremely organized, and your organization is never going to happen unless you've got a lot of guys that can communicate effectively all the way throughout the match. And so our guys have grown into being able to talk more productively and become more consistent in their communication and have a lot more simple things to say to each other. We talk a lot about doing the simple things right, and this game can easily become more complicated than really what it needs to be based on guys not having the same language when they're communicating. And so we've tried to create an environment where the language is consistent, where the guys know exactly what to say to each other in what moment, and it's created an opportunity for those guys to really gel a little bit, those guys being the ones that have returned from having been here previously. So your Angel Hernandez, your Evan Stafford, your Max, Max has done really well at trying to fit into a spot in front of the back line. It's not a natural place for him, but he's done extremely well at trying to create the opportunity for himself in there. And then you've got other guys, Patrick Mose, Aiden Carroll on the right-hand side, Radule Bozovic on the left, and then some young guys that are coming in to try and usurp those guys in those positions and make it their own. So we're glad that we've got enough returners that understand what we're trying to do in the back line. And it's been interesting over these first 10 days to kind of see how the new young guys have pushed the returning guys, but a big part of it is just who works well together. You up in the attacking half of the field, you can have some individual moments of brilliance, but in the back line, it's really about who does well together. And we feel like we've got a good grasp of who is communicating the best and working the best together in that back line group.
And then in goal, you brought in Division II transfer from Conference University, Dylan Watkins. I know he was a little banged up this week. Do you expect him to play? And then just how do you think he can kind of change things defensively for you guys, shoring up a spot that was a little bit of a rotating door the last 2 years?
Yeah, it definitely was difficult last couple of years. We had several guys that were looking to try and get into that spot, and last year we thought it was going to be Julian Inches, and he wasn't. I mean, it was the right decision for Julian to not come back last year, so it left us trying to figure out throughout the year what we were going to do with it. And so we have 3 brand new keepers in this year, adding to bringing back Christian Sands, who's been with us now coming into his 3rd year. Really happy with all of them. I mean, you've got Matty Auergen out of California who's done well. Then you've got Colby Reese coming to us from Kansas City who's done well. And then, as you mentioned, Dylan. Right now, Dylan is the one that is in the top spot, and he will play this weekend. You mentioned he's a little bit banged up, but so are a lot of guys. And it's college soccer. You have to play through getting those nicks and knocks, and Dylan's no different. Goalkeepers are no different. So he just has to muscle through it, make sure that he's able to do what it is he's capable of doing, and we have full confidence in him to be able to get the job done back there.
All right, so let's go back to talking about this upcoming weekend, hosting Augsburg on Friday and then Caltech on Sunday. last year you guys kind of got off to a slow start, 0-4 to start the season, which was of course capped off by that loss to Laverne. Kind of things seemed like things kind of changed after that. That was the breaking point. But how do you avoid getting to that breaking point and get off to a much faster start this year?
Yeah, we didn't know enough about our team last year after the first 2 weeks, and so those first 4 games we were still learning a lot about the brand new guys we had. We had 17 freshmen come in last year, and so that first month was a learning process for us as a coaching staff and for the entire roster, to be honest with you, because half of our roster was freshmen. So that's not an excuse for the 0-4 start. We just didn't know enough. And we didn't learn fast enough what our guys were capable of doing and who really fit into what spot. And so this year we have a lot more consistency from one year to the next based on what we know about our players. And even though we had another big freshman class come in, the nice thing for us as a coaching staff is we love to see freshmen surprise us and earn opportunities on the pitch, but we aren't counting on them as much as we were last year. So we are counting on our upperclassmen this year, and they're a known entity. So we have places locked in from returners this year coming into this 4-game stretch of non-conference opponents. And so that's what's different about this year from last year, is that we just have a lot more knowledge about the guys that we have and how to use them appropriately. And so, I mean, we are expecting that we will come out of this with a good number of wins over these next 4 games.
Fantastic. Once again, the Wildcats starting their season this Friday right here in McMinnville, hosting Augsburg with kickoff at 7 o'clock. Then we'll have Caltech in town at 11 o'clock on Sunday. We'll, of course, have live coverage of every home match all season long on the Linfield Sports Network. Coach, good luck this season. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Joe.